Hey, it's also our pleasure to welcome back one of our own, Johnny Bensley, journalist, pundit, and all-round grafter at 5 Live, I must say. The hardest working man in showbiz, is me, obviously. But Johnny, you come a close second?
Well, I've had worse introductions, and I can actually see on the... I can see a bit of visual. Tim's wearing... it's almost like he's come off a sun lounger. He's got the very Rio de Janeiro feel, black and white shirt, I believe. I mean, this is an audio medium, isn't it? So I suppose, even though Dotton, you can't see Tim, neither can the millions of listeners of this show. Oh, you can?
They're lost as well.
Yeah, I could. Yeah. The thing I'm worried about, Johnny, is when he said he was decent, he didn't say that his shirt was unbuttoned to the navel and that we could see all the hair today gone tomorrow kind of business.
You got it. Flaunt it, baby. Flaunt it.
Decent pundit as well, I might add.
This is the way that we welcome our guest onto the studio. You might remember, Tim, last week that Itai called us from the States, from New York. Itai Gruss, who's with us now. He's come all the way from the United States, all this way to get a copy of my memoirs. Well done, Itai. You have flown the furthest for that. You've flown further than people ever expected anybody to fly, and certainly that I expected you. Welcome to the United Kingdom.
Thank you. I can tick this off the list now. We don't have to buy it with my own money, so...
Oh, I thought you meant you could tick the program off your list, your bucket list.
And that's another one, so that's a 2-for-1. I've got the book and I'm featured on my favorite radio show. So.
And guess what he brought for me, Tim, all the way from the United States, but bought in London. Guess what he brought into the studio?
Chocolate biscuits, almost certainly.
Itai, how close was that to what you brought in?
This guy's got cameras everywhere, I suppose.
Yeah, it also means that my Brazilian shirt name is Sergio Chocky Bickies. And just remind me, Johnny, what's your Brazilian shirt name? It's something to do with the team you support and where they play, isn't it?
Smurf Moore.
Again,
on the day there was about 6 on the line, weren't there? Some of which were...
It's not that funny, Tim, come on.
Some of those were after the watershed level. Do check on BBC Sounds.
Yeah,
but,
you can, yeah.
It is it's quite scary.
Itai, Smurf Moor, as in Turf Moor, is that one of the football grounds in Britain? Because you haven't just come to see me, I should tell people. You came to... What, do you want to tell the story? Because it's, I don't want to be talking about your missus when she might be listening all the way in New York.
I hope she is. Kids are asleep right now. But yeah, I'm expecting my second child. And so my fiance graciously allowed me, one bachelor trip to go out and see some football matches, just to get it all out before I have to hunker down and prepare for family life. So super grateful for that. And I won't be making it to Turf Moor, unfortunately. I'm sure it's a beautiful ground to go to. But I'll have to come back soon so I can see those boys. Maybe when they make it back to the Prem for one season and then go back down and then make it up and then go back down.
Johnny, you're over to you on that one.
I think that was a really wonderful and very neutral description. I'm not sure the first place on any bucket list would necessarily be a trip to Burnley, having travelled so far. But hopefully, I think it'd be a nice contrast to maybe the big sprawling cities of London and the huge football grounds that go on there. Certainly a cold, wet, rainy night in Lancashire.
Johnny, if you're going to say that, you can't just say London. You got to say that London. Otherwise, it doesn't fly.
There we go. Well, I'll bow down to the superiority of my peers on what? Why? Go on, elaborate, Tim. Elaborate.
Because everyone from the north I've ever known has always said that London.
That London.
Especially people from Burnley.
That London.
What I love, Tim, is that Johnny says, I don't get it, elaborate. And I'm like, no, you do get it because you're from the north.
All right.
And whether it's passed your generation by or not, it's yours. So own it. Own it. The other problem, though, is if you were going to sell Turf Moor or a visit to Turf Moor to an American over here,
Well, an American owns the club, Dotton, as you will well know. So,
Enough said, mate.
and also the famous NFL star or former NFL star JJ Watt is a big club representative as well now. So, the American appeal of Burnley's probably never been greater. And do you know what they've introduced now? A light show before kickoff. A light show.
I know.
That's more American than anything ever.
You've expressed your horror at that.
That's not horror. I'm just,
previously.
It was.
It is horror. It's a lie.
It does look very good, actually.
Why do you
it
not
does
have
look
to
very
insist,
good.
Itai? Why do you not have to insist that British football, English soccer, if you prefer, has to be like an American Super Bowl show every single weekend? Why do you? Next, we'll be having the Rah-Rah girls clearly at football grounds. Yeah,
I'm a traditionalist.
yeah.
And so I can't support light shows and all the rest. I do have to say, it seems like you've got the lesser NFL star that came over here because I know is it Birmingham that has Tom Brady, so
Yes,
you got the short end of the stick even then. But no, I say keep it minimal. Music in the grounds. Drowning out the sound of the crowd. It's something I don't like. Actually, in the States, something my father hates, talks about all the time. We go to see Argentina play when they come over. Couple of Copa Americas and friendlies and the like, and they don't allow you to put a flag out. You can't hang your flag off of the terrace.
No.
You're not allowed to do it. It's the number one thing the security guards are looking out for, and I have no idea
way.
why, but they hate
You're going to
it.
cover the sponsorship things. I think that's one of the bones of contention there. It's like that the campaign against the footballers, they're not allowed to take their shirts off when they score a goal. Because it's the moment when the camera is on the shirt with all the logos and the sponsors. So I think that's that.
Is that the reason?
I was thinking that's incredible.
Is that the reason? I thought it was
Well, but
because
obviously, no one's going to actually say this, But obviously, behind the scenes, it's the
that makes
sponsor
sense.
saying,
It
it's
makes
the sponsor
sense.
saying, I want bang for my buck.
I
pal."
paid for this. And the bloke's ripping off his shirt to show his six pack and showing everybody how ripped he is.
Would you rip your shirt off, Dotton, if you scored a bicycle kick?
No, but I'll rip it off now if you want me to. But what is seen can never be unseen, mate.
Unfortunately, the visuals are back on now, so I'd highly go against that idea. Unfortunately.
Thank you. No, it's a wise decision. So, Johnny has tried his best to sell Turf Moor, the Burnley football ground, to Itai.
It is an authentic experience, isn't it?
It's
Turf.
different from everything else. It's always kind of miserable up there.
How many times have you been to Turf Moor?
I've been a couple of times, actually. I've been a couple of times. I have been. Remember, Burnley were in the top league, once upon a time. And I always think, I genuinely mean this. It's called Turf Moor for a reason. It is in that sort of landscape of the moors, as it were. And you can see that from the stadium, can't you, as I recall? And
You
there
can
always,
actually, yeah.
and there always seems to be a kind of a mist over the moor, or the moors when I'm there. And I genuinely mean that. Maybe I haven't gone there on a hot summer's day, but
Do they exist in the? Do they exist in the north?
You tell me.
Or only up into London, as Tim said, where the weather is hotter and
Okay, enough
go
of
hotter.
that there, London, because we'll have to bring in that there, New York. And as Itai's already pointed out, you might get the short end of the stick in Burnley. Dear, oh dear, Tim, you had choices between two NFL stars, legends. Who are you going to pick, Tom Brady or the other one?
I've never heard of either of them, so I don't know the guy. I don't know the guy.
Let me advise you to choose Tom Brady every single time.
Is he one of the Brady bunch? Is he good?
You could say that, Tim. You could say that.
I'm glad
Don't know the guy.
I'm glad that the young American at least knows who the Brady Bunch is. Johnny Bentley?
Oh no, it's gone well over my head.
You see what I mean?
Blimey. Oh, you've made a happy man very old, John.
Which one?
He's on form tonight. I have nothing to do with that statement. Obviously, Itai, as you can see, I'm a fine body of a young gentleman, am I not?
You
Talking
look a lot younger than I thought. A lot fitter. I have to say.
No, did I pay you to say that?
No, I mean it genuinely.
Let me check in my pocket if I paid you.
When I saw you walk in.
Yeah.
I'm having a senior moment though, Tim, because I didn't think I'd paid him, but I'm a couple of bobs short of.
You gave him a free book. You're getting now.
It wasn't free.
What book did you give him? Yours?
It's called Effries by Dotun Adebayo. It's available from all good booksellers and probably some that aren't quite so good. And it's a novel and interesting way of telling a kind of autobiography because it's like a Zoom call of Dotuns at different ages. So you get Dotun at 7, who's a right pain. Quite how he arrived to be Dotun at 8, I really don't know. I really don't know how someone didn't sort him out early. But it's a fantastic way of telling an autobiography because it's all those voices you have inside yourself, all from different ages. So it comes highly recommended. But that's enough of blowing smoke up the oversized.
Has he paid you as well?
No, he hasn't. Although he did give me a free book. We're easily bought.
What's going on at City, Johnny? Any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a multitude of things, really. I think it's ultimately the end of a cycle. When you have a squad for so long, a squad that's getting older, lots of injuries, I suppose, in the short term, you've got to say aren't helping. No Kevin De Bruyne, no Rodri.
Kevin De Bruyne's back, but he's been ineffective.
Or at least he hasn't been starting regularly. Rodri's obviously out until the end of the season. De Bruyne over the years has struggled with injuries, this season being no different. So when he does come back in for moments, he's not been able to start regularly, and when he does come back in, sometimes he's curtailed by injuries. Other times, as you say, he's been struggling for form as well. And you're talking about two of the best midfielders in the past 5-10 years. Certainly Rodri, Ballon d'Or winner, to be without him, to be without De Bruyne, to be without Kovacic as well over the time.
Yeah, but to have all the other best players in the world playing for you, that shouldn't be a problem, should it?
Well, yeah, I think that's why I was about to say, as apart from the short-term issues with the injuries, the longer, wider-term issue really is the fact this squad's been together for a very long period of time. So there's a lot of players there, they're getting older. Physically, that's taking a hit, but also mentally as well. I mean, players, naturally, I think people say that squads should be together probably. Sir Alex Ferguson used to turn squads over regularly with regularity, and I think Guardiola as well. If you look at the squad that he won his first title with, and then 3 years later, many changes from that. 3 years later, there's changes again. But as we go back over the past couple of years now, there's still a lot of players now that have been in this cycle for quite a long time. And what I think really needs to happen, usually what happens when results go and when teams fall by the wayside, one of two things happens. Either they replace the manager, get a new person in to breathe new life into the set of players. That usually gives a bit of a kickstart. Or you have a squad overhaul. Now, with Pep Guardiola, you've got probably the best manager in world football. So it makes sense to do the more difficult thing, really, which is to obviously keep by that manager and make quite big, excessive changes across the rest of the squad.
Except, Tim, they've got FFP breathing down their necks. They can't reimagine the squad. They can't buy players in, can they, at the moment? And is the mood of the town affected by the results of the football team?
Well, I can tell you a story about Burnley if you want, Dotun.
Yeah, after Colin, after Johnny just answers that point.
I was going to actually ask him where, just before, I'll answer that first, and I'll ask where you worked, because that was never answered. But I'd say it was, generally, 80,000 people, 20,000 stadium, small town, does really well to fill the stadium. And I think it does affect the atmosphere. If Burnley are doing well and Burnley are winning, there is a jovial happiness across East Lancashire. And if they're not doing well, but at the moment we are Scott Parker making lots of fans very, very happy.
They're pouring in from Accrington and Oswald Twistle.
Yeah, to be fair, Accrington's another club again, very, very much rooted into its community. Lovely little stadium. Yeah, that's the one. That was like a 1980s advert, wasn't it?
Oh,
yeah.
So what's your story? What's your Burnley story, Colin?
I was told I was up there for a week's training with Paul. But if I did well in my week's training, I'd be taken to McDonald's by him. And I was. So I was like, this is good. And the other one is, when I bang my body about for, various, as mothers do, my physio, Nicola, who is just fantastic, really gorgeous and great fun. Very professional, obviously. And first physio session, she's fixing me up, said, right, do this physio, do that physio, great. And I had to cancel my second appointment because a mate of mine banged himself up as well, so I really looked after him. I didn't want to waste Nicola's time, because she would tell in 20 seconds I'd done the physio. So when I went to the next appointment, the rearranged one, we had done the physio by then. I was apologising, very sorry, Nicola. I hate letting people down, hate rearranging stuff, and I don't want to get a big telling off from my physio. She said, "Don't worry, Colin. I know exactly what words you're going to use. A huge thing, bollocking." I was like, "Oh yes, well, those were the words I was going to use. But I'm talking to a female medical profession." And she said, "Don't worry, I'm from Burnley."
Okay.
I wondered where the connection was there.
I was waiting for the punchline whilst you were wondering what the connection was. What do the teams at the bottom need from their managers? Southampton managers, I say Russell Martin, spoke to Match of the Day 2 after his team lost 5-0 at home to Tottenham. Well, I can tell you what he said was...
he sounds just like you.
He did this uncanny impression. Uncanny.
Yeah.
That's why he got sacked, isn't it?
Yeah,
Sorry,
for being a
Russell.
Nigerian.
You sound
So-
too
Now
much
he's
like
presenting the
Dotun
football
Adebayo.
phone in.
Look, whatever he said, shortly after he said it, he lost his job. It was a weekend where Wolves also parted company, as I say, with Gary O'Neill, following a string of poor results. And Wolves were apparently working on a deal to hire Portuguese coach Vitor Pereira, as we've been saying earlier on in the programme. So are all these sackings right? It could be a question tonight. If you do support Southampton, do they make the right decision by staying with Russell Martin? Because it's always the jeopardy, isn't it, Tim? On the one hand, people say, oh, you stay with have faith in your coach, they'll get through, they're going through a patch, you've got to support him as long as you like. And then you think, well, he's been sacked. Maybe we should have sacked him 2 months ago when we couldn't get a win. Do you know what I mean?
There's that slang which is so popular at the moment, trust the process, trust the process. What if the process is wrong? You want to mistrust the process as soon as possible. I wonder, Johnny, whether you think there's something in common here with Vincent Kompany at Burnley, in that was he trying to do something that he could do in the Championship, but he couldn't do in the Premier League?
Yeah, I think there's certainly something in that, Tim. I think that when Kompany came up playing incredible football, he wanted to carry that on into the Premier League, and Russell Martin did the same thing as well. Kompany obviously takes Burnley down, but then gets this weird job promotion to Bayern Munich, which I remember saying at the time was a bit like winning a prize in a raffle you didn't enter, because I don't even think he thought that would happen in his wildest dreams.
He's doing well, though.
He's doing very well. No. Listen, it's no surprise that he's doing well, because his tactics to break down a low defensive block in the Championship worked wonderfully. He played high possession-based football, creating lots of chances. Didn't quite transfer over to the Premier League because, quite simply, as you can imagine, taking a squad of players where it's one of the worst in the league and trying to play as though you're one of the best in the league, there's going to be an issue there, and that's exactly what Southampton have been trying to do as well. But I think the big difference between maybe Russell Martin and Kompany, what Kompany had, he had the contacts, didn't he? Almost, he had the optics. He's a scholar of Pep Guardiola, someone who's played under Guardiola, was obviously learned under Guardiola as a player there, had sort of built his managerial trade at Anderlecht, few hits, few misses, brilliant season with Burnley, takes them up. And then when he goes to Bayern Munich, supposedly there was a discussion with Pep Guardiola about whether he would be suitable or not. Now, Russell Martin's not got quite that same contacts book. He's coming up and he's trying to do a similar thing. It almost feels a bit like Kompany without the aura. He's obviously gone now, and ultimately he's fallen on his sword. But in the interview that you so eloquently translated as Russell Martin 2 minutes ago.
No, go on. Say your point. I'll have the real Russell Martin respond to you in a second. Yeah,
okay. I think I've got a bit of a Russell Martin going on here, actually, as a result of the facial hair growing.
You haven't got his looks, mate. I'm not trying to be funny.
Oof.
He looks like Men at CNA. You know, that's too... Oh, you're too young to remember Men at CNA, aren't you?
You like these references, don't you, that make me feel so young? Yeah. I don't mind them, actually, either, to be fair. It's more of a dig at yourself than it is at me.
I'm not saying he's not handsomer than me as well. You know, come on.
So he is.
You're in good company, John.
He is.
What do you mean he is?
He is.
Don't overdo that, mate.
He's a good-looking geezer. He's a good-looking geezer. But
okay, let's hear from the good-looking geezer
first,
and then you can fish your point. Yeah. Like I said, he spoke to Match of the Day too. We got there in the end after his team lost 5-0 at home to Tottenham.
I will do it to the very best of my ability until I am told otherwise.
Dalton, why are you speaking there? Why were you speaking after the game?
No, that generally was Russell Martin.
No, he does a good impression of you.
But, you know, a manager knows, don't they, that their job is predicated on results. And you get thrashed 5-0 after a season or, you know, preamble or beginning of a season that you've done so poorly in, well, you know what's coming. You know
do you know what, though? Just as the caveat as well to that, obviously there's this idea about almost playing to managing doing a style for the almost self-betterment as opposed to the team betterment. But if you look at someone like Sean Dyche, for example, another ex-Burnley manager, he's now typecast almost as a manager, as a firefighter, as there's a ceiling there. A big club's probably unlikely
Big
to appoint Sean Dyche because, exactly.
It's the new Big Sam, isn't it? You can make an industry of these, being the coach that manages the bad times, as it were. I don't know if American sports has got a comparison, but do they tend to, whether it's Major League Soccer or other American sports, do coaches tend to have suffer the same jeopardy as football coaches do in the Premier League?
That's interesting. To talk about basketball for a bit, bringing it in again, you know, the worse you do, the better chances you have of getting the best players coming out of college.
Yeah, that's true, because then you get the first pick.
In the lottery, exactly.
And
so in a strange way, there are certain teams that will go into a season fully intending on losing as much as they possibly can. And they'll employ a certain coach, you know, who'll be able to facilitate that.
Russell Martin's got a new job.
Yeah, that's where he should go. Yeah.
And can you
should YouTube Bullseye.
Yeah, Jim Bowen.
The game show. The game show.
I watched that.
It's the greatest game show in the world.
Did you have a good time with us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't beat a bit
Look
of
at
boy.
what they could have won.
Look
what they could have won.
Yeah. Peter Kay did a brilliant sketch on that. Brilliant sketch. So good.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Really, really good.
Before you said not at all, we had Colin in Stockport earlier on talking about when he went to big school and suddenly they only played rugby. The only thing he didn't mention...
That was the snooty schools, isn't it? You
Exactly.
knew if it was a snooty school if they didn't play football.
Football.
Rugger.
Of course, rugger. Yeah, that's what the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson
There's
would have said.
the big separation with professionalism. It's the big separation between rugby union and football. When football went truly professional, the rugby union code retreated into amateurism because he didn't want none of that vulgarity stuff.
Gentlemen.
Except what's happened, because particularly if you follow the Premier League football, is that it's so expensive now to go and enjoy the spectacle that you find that it's football that's gone upmarket and rugby. There is still a snootishness about it, but I'm not sure if it's as warranted.
I
There is.
completely disagree.
Really?
Well, completely disagree.
Okay. Just show me which working class neighbourhoods you will find rugby pitches in.
Rugby league.
Rugby league, you've got Wigan, haven't
Rugby
you?
league is
Rugby
league.
Salford Red Devils.
Okay, there's two kinds of rugby. There's the northern rugby.
Rugby.
No, there's not. Define working class.
Okay, I'm going to use.
This is why I was suggesting to your Audi, go to Gloucester, right, and go to the Shed and you will just be surrounded by farmers. Okay?
It's a rural game as well. Yeah, that's true.
That's why the New Zealanders, the All Blacks, always beat us, because they're proper farmers. But are you suggesting that the Prime Minister is unjustly considering taxing farmers the inheritance that they pass on to their children because they're all working class and it is a Labour government, whereas he thinks they're all millionaires because they're sitting on land that, if it were to be used and appropriated to build new homes, of which the Labour government wants to build another 1.5 million in the next 5 years, of course, all these farmers would be the wealthiest people on the planet. Are you suggesting that the Prime Minister's got that calculation wrong, Neil?
Well, it's not for me to decide, but
the politicians' answer, Neil.
Yeah.
But
I'm very glad you answered. You asked me that question.
Yes.
They could build all the houses on the rugby pitches,
my honourable friend,
or the football pitches.
Why are you trying to dishonour me with all these questions, my honourable friend?
Okay, right. Here's a question that I'd like you chaps to think about. Isn't it ironic that Keir Starmer has, stopped the Rwanda situation, yet his beloved Arsenal are sponsored by Rwanda?
I did think that.
I wondered why you were going there, but it's fair.
Mate, listen, this isn't the programme. This is not the programme for conspiracy theories about Rwanda and the Prime Minister. This is not the programme. But as you brought it up,
a conspiracy. I'm just saying it's just bizarre.
As you brought it up, let's ask around the table: conspiracy or no conspiracy, Tim?
Well, there's clearly a link somewhere between Arsenal and the farmers. Although we can't go there on a family show.
Zero, Tim. Why did you have to take it there? Johnny, can I get a more sensible answer from you?
I was trying to come up with something witty like that as well, but he's beaten me to it, unfortunately. So, conspiracy. You're one for a good conspiracy theory, aren't you, Dalton?
Yeah, I do love them, I must admit. It's time for a Brazilian shirt name. And it is time for Itai. He's flown all the way here from New York, remember. I think that's the furthest anybody's ever come for a Brazilian shirt name. Oh, and a good book as well. What? Did anybody laugh at that? Anybody laugh? Johnny, you didn't laugh for that good book. Jive?
In all good retailers, as Tim was saying, I think we're all getting commissioned on this, aren't we?
I wasn't talking about that book.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he'd come for a good book. He's still looking for it. 08085 909693.
Well, we can put in there Brooklyn.
Yep, he's from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
So good they named it twice. We can give him a shirt.
It was New York they named
names
twice,
over.
not Brooklyn.
Indeed.
They didn't name Brooklyn twice, did they?
Good point. Of Argentine lineage.
He is.
Of Argentine Liniers, even, because Liniers is the neighbourhood of Vélez Sarsfield. Well said. Who is his father is a fan of.
Yes.
And I can't really remember a great deal else.
Oh. Well,
is there anything else that needs to be added?
Yeah, a few things. Johnny, you can do better than that, can't you?
No.
Of course you can.
He did wonderfully well there, reeling off the facts and the stats. There were no stats; they were all facts. But I'm trying to think of innovative wordplay in my head.
Well, he almost libelled
he did.
People. He almost got us taken to court, didn't he?
That's not great. You do that daily, though, don't you, Dalton? Sometimes you start a sentence and then
I know how to get out of it.
He flies by the seat of his.
I do, because I can hear my wife's voice.
Underpants.
I can always hear my wife's voice in the background. If you go to court, you're on your own. Yeah, they are not having my house to pay for your.
To be fair, though, if they came after you, could say it was Russell Martin. Then it wasn't you.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, in case you're wondering, Russell Martin's the black guy. Yeah, one of us had to be Russell. 08085 909693. I would recommend your American friend going to Gloucester. Gloucester on Friday to watch Gloucester versus Harlequins.
Before that, the song used to be Robin Hood riding through the glen.
Of course it did. Do you know? I've got to ask Itai this.
Robin Hood.
Yeah. Do you know the Robin Hood connection to Nottingham?
Of course, no. Robin Hood is a huge cultural icon for us.
Okay.
Another, example of us living in the British shadow. But yeah, they made a great Disney cartoon. I was a big fan. He's a little fox in it, and
That's right.
Of course
Little
he is.
John's the
And
bear.
one day there will be happiness in Nottingham once again.
Although the
There is
foxes,
now.
they're foxes, they're close
That's right
neighbours.
now.
Yeah, we're coming to that.
And it's very interesting to see Nuno in that, because when he first arrived, his personality seemed quite cold and distant. But when you watch him doing a lot of these community events and so on, it's quite surprising, I think, to fans how warm and natural he seems with people around the club and with all the events they've done with kids and special needs groups and so on. It's been quite eye-opening to watch that.
Well, when he was at Wolves, he had a reputation as well for having a really good relationship with the fans, and I think he did a lot of work with charities around the area then. So,
I can tell you that so many Wolves fans have come, for example, onto our subreddit to say, can we have him back? They love him. And I believe that at Spurs, I don't know if I'm 100% right about this, but I've got a feeling at Spurs he didn't have his team with him, like his assistant coaches and so on, but he has with us. So there does seem to be something about his coaching group that
I think the Tottenham. I remember when he went to the Tottenham job, and the first interview that he did just before that Manchester City game, he seemed like a kid at Christmas to have that job. He seemed so happy and overwhelmed by that job. And I think inevitably it all came to him a little bit too quickly. It was probably the biggest job of his career, really, the Tottenham Hotspur job. And I think he did so well at Wolves, that's often forgotten. And Nottingham Forest is in sort of that ballpark as well, where they're a club wanting to stay in the division, wanting to progress, got a fantastic squad, a very athletic squad with lots of pace, which is why I think you're doing so well at the moment, partly. And now he's got his feet under that table. Now he's comfortable in that. You start to see the real person, I think, which never really came out at Tottenham, unfortunately.
Yeah, my old next-door neighbour here was also Brit, and he was a big Spurs fan. And he texted me and said, you just wait for that Nuno ball, you'll soon see. And I messaged him the other day and said, well, I'm really worried about this terrible manager you warned me about.
Tottenham can have that effect on people.
Their fans, until this time, what a crazy season this has been, in the Premier League. I mean, look at Spurs. Well, you guys know, 1 minute the fans he's having a shouting match with the fans at the side of the pitch, and then they were they were 5 up at half time, weren't they, the other day?
It's the second half. It's the second half that they need to concern about. Lisa, how far can this team go?
I don't know. That's why I thought I should ring you tonight before it all goes wrong. I really don't know, but I'll tell you, you asked me, I think last time was on why was it that we were doing so well, and I think what you just said about Nuno, I said recruitment, but the other side, of course, it's Nuno. I mean, one of the things is we were having such terrible issues with set pieces. They seem to have solved that problem. Not only Murillo, as we've talked about before, but he seems to have made such a great pair now with Milenkovic. The two of them seem to have a really great understanding for our defence. I don't know. We'll see. We're just enjoying it while it lasts.
Do you think? Sorry, I was just going to say. Do you think there's a bit of Unai Emery in Nuno, in the way that sort of when he gets under the table, this sort of pragmatic style, but getting the best out of what he has at a club that he feels comfortable with? I saw a comparison perhaps with Emery in the way that he's come into Aston Villa when he's got comfortable, quite a rigid, difficult to beat team that can play good football at times. Do you think there might be a little bit of a Unai Emery within the Nuno Espirito Santo?
I think that's fair, yeah. I mean, some of the players that may be considered... for example, our captain, Ryan Yates, every step of the way they've said he's never going to make it to the next level. He's playing the best football anybody's ever seen. And again, Chris Wood, Newcastle were rubbing their hands when we got him.
From Burnley.
We always have this discussion.
Burnley to Newcastle. I mean, I think we spoke about him before.
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah, Burnley to Newcastle was a journey. Forgive me.
Yeah.
In favour of godless communism. You never knew that about avuncular Arthur Ellis, did you?
And
1954 World Cup quarter-final.
oh gosh, yeah. Well, then I don't remember him because I wasn't born there. But thank you for that suggestion.
You were in your prime then, weren't you, Dawson?
Johnny's got it in for me tonight, you know. Infamy. He's got it in for
In
me.
for a penny.
That's my new Brazilian show name, Infamy. 5058 to text me or email Dotun, DOTUN, at bbc.co.uk. Tim?
Yes, sorry.
I thought you were trying to get in there because you went like this.
No, not at all.
Well,
Not at all. I was just
Okay.
drifting
Buttoning
off a
his
little
shirt
bit.
back up, weren't you, Tim?
Yeah, please, come on.
I was just
Tim.
thinking,
Come on.
it's absolutely doused in sweat, this shirt.
I know. It's
You
summer
know,
where you are.
player comfit would be far better if I took it off,
Sure,
but
yeah, it would
the world's
be.
not
Were you
ready
going
for
for the
that.
Simon Cowell look? He did that, didn't he?
He does that,
He
yeah.
does that,
He's
doesn't
not
he?
wealthier than you as well, but hey, you know what I mean.
I'll give you $20 if you can catch this frisbee. And he'd peg it at them as hard as he could and invariably make, hundreds of dollars
Oh,
traveling.
they'd give him $20 if they could.
Yeah, exactly.
They're the mugs. Would you have betted $20 of your hard-earned cash, Johnny? Is your cash hard-earned? No, let me talk to Tim then.
It is in this past hour and 23.
Okay, so lots of comments. We can go through a few of these comments very, very quickly. With regards to Man City, Shinners has got a comment to make, which is with regards to the only football team to come from Manchester. So we know where this is going, don't we, Johnny?
God's own football team.
Is that me? Am I hearing myself on
No,
an echo?
that was a caller a few years ago.
okay,
Just
yeah,
City fan.
Oh,
And he
God.
wouldn't call them City. He would just call them God's own football team.
Oh, God, man.
with regards to the only football team to come from Manchester, I'm totally with your esteemed guest, Paul, tonight. Paul? That was last week, wasn't it? What's this cartoon?
yeah.
What's it?
Paul?
Oh, God, I'm looking at the wrong thing, aren't I?
Dotson.
I know.
Do I sound like Paul
He
to you?
sent it. He has sent it today. Oh, I see what he's done. He's forwarded his email from last week. So the last week's email is there, and then he's added on top, oh, my suggestion for somewhere to visit would be to take a boat trip down Loch Ness. And shirt name based on the dunes, E-tie did lie ho, which is which is like a variation on a theme. I get it. So I was reading the bit that you'd forwarded. Apologies, mate. Johnny, you know what it's like live radio. You know, there's
It's a
certain jeopardy about
minefield.
it.
It's a minefield. I'm seeing that now.
Yeah, of course. You're seeing it live and direct and all.
I see it every Monday night phoning, you know.
Not with my phone in, you don't. Derek in Aberdeen says, good morning to him, Dawson, Johnny and Etai. I hope I've spelled it correctly.
And Paul from last week.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's Derek in Aberdeen here. I'm the one who suggested Johnny's Brazilian shirt name.
Oh, well done.
He's got previous.
Hang on. You see, do you know what you were just trying to humiliate me about the jeopardy of live radio? You see, you didn't wait for the punchline, Johnny. That's the jeopardy. So let me do it again. It's Derek from Aberdeen here. I'm the one who suggested Johnny's Brazilian shirt name should have been the risky Ben. Yeah.
You know, can I just interlude slightly before you do this? I saw Ben Mee in a bar in Manchester last weekend. He was out. Yeah, he was playing darts with his friend. But me, being the lovely human being that I am, he was there. He's having a good time. Yeah. I was there. I was having a good time. I definitely wanted a photo, and then when I plucked up the courage, he'd buggered off somewhere. You know, so
easy on the the B word there, because this was bend me over, remember, guys, that you went for. No, we didn't go for that, and you know why, Derek?
No, we could have gone for Ben Mini Me. We were so close to going to a Ben Mini Me.
Yeah, but anyway, this time my opinion for Etai's shirt name is far more respectable and respectably British as well. You feeling good about this, Etai? Respectable and respectably British?
Well, I know that I shouldn't feel too good, or else you won't give it to me. So I'm just neutral.
Good point.
Okay,
good point. Well made.
You see, he's heard Brazilian shirt name before, and there's nothing more British than
Choco biscuits.
Wrong, Tim.
Ruby Murray.
Yeah,
English
I would agree.
tea.
English tea? No, no. You're going down the wrong route. I think the Ruby Murray is the closest thing to a Jaguar car. Actually, Johnny, you should do this one. This is from Gordon in Bath. Let me just say, it ends with GUM. So do you want to do it in your Yorkshire accent, like?
Hey, bar gum.
Wait, you forgot the second
gum.
Oh, yeah, that's that. God, that went over my head,
Come
didn't
on,
it?
Johnny,
Yeah,
Johnny.
I know.
So eat our gum,
Eat our gum.
and you've got to do it with the Yorkshire accent.
Eat
so
our gum.
you will forever be able to go around New York saying it in a Yorkshire accent. Do you want to have a go?
Eat our gum. That was
I
horrible.
sound like that?
that was horrible.
I've got
But
some friends in Yorkshire that are
it's
going to kill me.
eat our gum.
Eat our gum.
Eat our gum. Yeah, you got to say it like
Gum.
Johnny's doing. As
Eat
if you haven't
our
got,
gum.
As
At
if
least
you
you've
haven't
got
any
teeth. No
yeah,
teeth.
you haven't got any gums. Oh, you've only got gums.
That's what people from
Yeah.
Yorkshire are like.
Yeah, they talk like they haven't got any teeth. They've only got gums, sort of. So
That sounds a bit Brummy, that, to be fair.
Is that
That's-
Burnley? Is it? Is it Lancashire, Yorkshire? I can't tell which one's got the red rules and which one's got the white one.
White is Yorkshire, I think. It
okay.
is, yeah.
Of course
but,
it is.
yeah.
I know. I'm only joking. It was a joke.
It's
a
difficult
joke.
to tell.
Yeah.
Hey,
White.
bar gum.
White is Leeds and red is Manchester, you know. When it's not blue, obviously. So, eat our gum. Do you like that one? Will you be able to say it?
I think I'd butcher it every time.
But we don't care, do we? He butcher it every time, but we don't care. So it might be Thai gum tonight. So, oh no, not this as well. Brazilian shirt name Vélez, his father's team, and he likes the Knicks MPA team. So, when you put Vélez and the Knicks together, what do you get? Tim, do you want to have a go?
Nix Velis.
Yeah, that's not bad. Johnny, do you want to have a go?
No. Velis and the Knicks.
Yeah, Knicks.
Velnickers.
Yeah, well, that's closer. That is closer to what.
Yeah, I was trying to steer away from that.
Thank
frankly.
you, Tim. Because once upon a time,
Family show.
you won't know this, Johnny, but once upon a time, the English comedians, they would literally just say knickers and everybody would start laughing. I've never ever got. Did you ever get that one, Tim? Why?
No.
They'd say, oh, knickers.
Yeah, I think it might say something about a deeply repressed culture. Hopefully, we've moved on
I
past that
think
now.
we've moved on there. We've moved on.
I think
from that.
Mrs. Brown's Boy still sort of carries that humour.
Yeah, but that's
doesn't it?
Irish.
Yeah.
We weren't talking about Irish culture, we're talking about very English culture. Ask the Scots who come and take the grass from Wembley every time they win. Yeah.
And he's from New York, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, but my Thai was
So
from
if you come from
Germany,
New
I
York,
think.
if he came over by boat, then it's going to have to be my Titanic. Or you get a
My
few Titanic struggles, don't you, if you're in
My
football matches over the
Titanic.
years?
My Titanic isn't bad.
I like it. I like it.
You like
Yeah,
it?
I do.
Get the
Bill
sinking
likes it.
feeling.
I'm getting that feeling as well, Johnny. Yeah. My Titanic.
I've got to look
My-
up this singer. He's still half my name.
Oh, yeah, My Tai.
Yeah.
They're from like the 90s or something like that. It was one hit wonders.
84, Doctor. 1984 was a big year with that song,
90s,
History.
What's the difference? Yeah. Well, look, you can look them up, but I think it will be the only time you ever look them up. I'm not trying to be funny. But how can I love and I lose all of it? You got me singing the blues. No, you weren't, obviously, Rashid. Otherwise, you'd have sung along.
But no, Doc. Look, if ever there was a team that was there for the taking at the moment, it's Manchester City. I mean, one win in 10 was bad enough, but one in 11.
Yeah.
And you've been talking about bosses being sacked and whatnot. Could he be the next one? Possibly. Or will he go of his
Unsackable.
own? Would he
You
go of
heard
his
it.
own volition?
Give it
You
Neil
heard it.
Warnock. Give it Neil Warnock.
Tony Pulis.
Source it out.
But no,
I was
what
gonna say, Don, I had a quick go.
Etai says, Rashid, answer what, or you also get to choose a tune for us to play out in an hour's time. Anything off the top of your head?
Yeah, let's play
Inspirational tune?
Police and Thieves, talking about Donald Trump.
Police and Thieves. I think I can do that, Police and Thieves, he said. Oh,
Junior
where is
Murvin
it?
or the
Here we
Clash?
go. No. It's got to be the original, hasn't it? It's
Such
got-
a beautiful song.
Yeah. Well done, Itai. Safe trip back. I'll be seeing you this week. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
All roads lead